First up this month, we have highlights by no, not highlights, headlights by Alex G. It's because we were talking about July highlights. That's what it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, this was your pick, Kylie. What did you make of headlights?
Yeah, there's some highlights on headlights. Uh, yeah, I chose the latest Alex G just because Alex G is someone that like a lot of people I came along to his stuff last decade when he was doing the self releases, race rules, trick, DSU. I think those four right there. At the time, I don't go back and revisit them often, but at the time, I just couldn't get enough. It felt like a continuation of Elliott Smith without as much heaviness to it. A little bit of that Kurt Vile oddity. So Alex G really, hit me in a good place last decade. And I chose this record because the last few, I think House of Sugar and God Save the Animals were his last two proper LPs. He's done some film scoring and definitely, blown up over the last 5 years as much as an indie artist can. So I was hoping for, you know, a little return to my enjoyment of Alex G. Headlights is his, after all these records, his major label debut. He's on Sony now, which is, um, I'll say, a bummer to me.
So,
I yeah, I understand making money, but he was on Domino forever. Domino is a great label that you should be able to, make some good money without going to sound. Anyway, um, yeah, I think this is Headlights is a lot like the last few albums where there's a lot of hit or miss. The hits, strangely, being Afterlife, which I think is by far and away the most commercial song that he's ever released. Like it is pop, and the first few songs kind of classic Alex G, a little slow to get going. So I was surprised that this pop madness was what I was into. Um, I also really like. I think Bounce Boy is the weird, kind of almost like a little Deftones to it. Left field heaviness. And Louisiana, those are kind of the highlights on there, but a lot of this record, he didn't really change up his sound too much going to major labels, so I guess kudos in a way. But I think 15 or so years of the Alex G formula. I think it's great. I'm happy for it. It's the same way I feel a lot about like Mac DeMarco. A lot of these indie guys, um, I appreciate what they're doing, what they continue to do, but maybe personally, I'm just not in the same level of interest as I was last decade. So I think there's some good parts. I think a lot of it's just, if you like Alex G, then you're probably going to love this record. And if you're still on board, it's good. I think when it veers from the typical what we've heard for a long time is, I think, when it's kind of fun.
interesting. So, I mean, from my side, I was kind of pleased that you put this one on the board for this month. Alex G, an artist I've heard the name. I've been meaning to kind of dive into properly for a long time. Never really got around to it. But yeah, he's always kind of been one of those artists on paper that has always seemed like, this should be right up my street. And obviously, I've read that he worked behind the scenes on albums from Frank Ocean and Halsey that I really love too. So yeah, it was kind of like going into this one. It's like probably should like this, and I think my assumptions were correct. I did end up really liking this record. I think it was one of those ones that on the first couple of plays, it wasn't quite hitting for me. I found myself kind of switching off at certain points, but if it's one of those that for me, like if it gets you in the right mood, you can just put that on and it's just like utter bliss. I mean, the first half in particular is just sensational. You know, you mentioned Afterlife, just an absolute bop. Um, June Guitar, which is the opener. It's just like this really rustic song with those plucky guitars and the accordion that comes in, and uh, y- yeah, I mean, I just love the arrangement, love the melody, just the whole vibe of that track. And then yeah, I'm a sucker for strings. We get those gorgeous strings on spinning, um, mixed in with like some slack kind of grungy guitars. So yeah, it's one of those albums that just ticks a whole load of boxes for me. I think maybe because of how much I love that opening 5-track run. You mentioned Louisiana Bounce Boy. For me, that was the point where maybe I was switching off a little bit. I think it's just the distortion or like on his voice that he puts on those tracks. It's one of those where I was like, I'd love to hear a live version. Um,
Sure.
because I think maybe it's one of those where he spent too long in the studio and he's added more to it than maybe it probably needed. Because like underneath, like the distortion on the guitars and his voice, you can kind of hear some, well, to my ears anyway, something that like kind of grips me. But yeah, there's almost too much going on those tracks for me. But back end, Oranges gets things back on track. Like this really sweet, understated song. Far and Wide, I love as well. It's got more strings. Again, I'm just gonna always give a song with strings on it like that a thumbs up. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure if the live cut that's at the end of the album was a part of the official track list. It was there on Apple
Yeah.
Music,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed that as well. Logan's Hotel, really cool, like little that live track right at the end of the record. But yeah, overall, I think a great first full length experience with Alex G for me. Like you said, maybe a couple of skips, but I probably benefited from the fact that wasn't familiar with his older material. It sometimes goes like that. Um, but yeah, I'd say for me, the high points on this are high enough that I can forgive a couple of skips. So yeah, enjoyed this pick and looking forward to you know going back into his catalog and exploring a bit
Yeah.
further.
Definitely. I- I'm glad to hear that you liked this record, and if that's the case, definitely like Trick and DSU, you should revisit those. They're really great records.
So yeah, Andrew. Actually, I'll say what you mentioned about Alex G as well. So for Alex G, he starts beautifully with one of the best songs of the year so far, June Guitar. So again, I was a big fan of that. I know you were as well. Uh, but then he struggles to maintain high standard throughout. Far and Wide, another excellent tune, good album overall. So reasonable thumbs up for Alex G.